What are the top 8 CV mistakes that you need to avoid? Stick around and let's talk about it today on this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is your buddy and personal academic mentor, Dr. J. Phoenix Singh, coming at you with one thing that drives me nuts. One of my favorite things that I do in my life is work one-on-one with you to be able to work on optimizing all of your materials for applying to your dream grad schools. This is one of the reasons why those of you who've worked with me know that I've got an 80% success rate of getting you into your target programs. The reason is because we work very closely together to be able to get your CV prepped, personal statement, diversity statement, interview prep, all this kind of stuff taken care of. Also, another great resource for this, right, is Publication Academy. So you can go down here to publicationacademy.com, and this is going to provide you with on-demand content related to all of these things and give you templates specifically for preparing your academic CV for graduate school. But let me tell you right now that if you want to work one-on-one with me after that, after you put your thing together, you can go to this website, which is gradschoolapplicationcoach.com. So that said, let's jump right in. First common mistake that I see in CVs, and it drives me nuts, y'all, is typos and grammatical errors. Oh my gosh. Ensure that your CV is free of spelling and grammar mistakes, everybody, okay? It can create a negative impression. When I take a look at it, you want to know my honest opinion? I look at it and I say, this applicant couldn't even get the small things right. If they can't even get the small things right, and they don't have attention to detail, how on earth am I going to trust them with more, right? Those who have more will get more. Those who have less will lose even what they have, as the Bible says, right? So that's that situation. That's number one, okay? It's so simple, but it's very important. Number two is a lack of focus in the CV. The CV should be tailored to the program, or in some cases, you're using it for a job, to the job that you're applying for, and it should highlight, right, the experiences you have that are relevant to it. Avoid including irrelevant information. I can't tell you guys how many times I look at CVs. And in these CVs, what I see is volunteer experience, and it's volunteer experience from like 20 years ago about how they were a camp counselor, or about how, like leadership experience, and they like ran a marathon in their local town, right? And they helped to be able to organize it. No. I mean, depending on, I suppose, if you're applying for like a kinesiology program or something like that, okay. If you're applying to a clinical psych program, because I'm a clinical psychologist, what are you doing? Take out anything irrelevant. If you tutored somebody in saxophone for 11 years, God bless, toot to toot, I love it. I would love to hear you and that munchkin play saxophone, okay? You can call me, I will listen to it, and I will applaud you. Don't put it on your CV, okay? That's number two. Number three is overloading that CV with information. So many people think that a longer CV is better, okay? I have two versions of my CV. I actually have three, right? One is very brief, it's 2 pages, right? One is a brief version, which doesn't have things like journals that I've been an ad hoc for. It doesn't have things like, newsletter articles that I've published, classes that I've taught, these things. That thing is still maybe like 10 pages. But then I've got my full CV. My full CV is 54 pages long, okay? When you are applying to graduate school, right, or applying for a job, my recommendation, like an academic job, my recommendation is to be able to keep this thing at 3 to 5 pages. That is my recommendation. If it's gonna be longer than that, I need you to get in touch with me, gradschoolapplicationcoach.com, right? And just, for the love of God, let's go through it, okay? Because this is gonna be very problematic for you. I'm just telling you right now, and I care about you, okay? Focus on the most important information, leave out less relevant details. I know that seems obvious, to avoid things like redundancies. Happens all the time, I see it all the time. Number 4, drives me nuts, I give everybody advice on it. Having an unprofessional email address. If your email address is what I had in 6th grade, which is mokshamonkey@aol.com, or satyrfire, like 13 at AOL.com, that's a mistake, okay? Use a professional email address, okay? Something like, for example, your first name and last name, instead of, like your nickname, right? Like drunkenjoe@gmail.com, probably a mistake, right? Or a casual address, for example. Don't do that. professional address. If you have a university email address, I want you to use that. Otherwise, go to something like GoDaddy. I want you to buy a domain that's very professional, and then I want you to have first name, last name, at, and then that. Okay, and something like GoDaddy is going to help set you up. It's literally godaddy.com. Check it out. God bless. Very good. Number 5 is overall poor formatting. This is the reason why I ended up, after a while, I got so frustrated this past year, and so because of that, I ended up putting together a formal template that I just tell people now, here's the template, here's an exemplar of that template completely filled out. Please take whatever your CV is right now when you're coming to me, and before you show it to me, put it into this format, right? And it helps so much, and this is the template that I give you in the Publication Academy module. So let me tell you, if it's easy to read, if it's visually appealing, this is great. A CV and a resume are different things. If you are applying to graduate school in a social sciences field, they want a CV, not a resume, not a one-pager, not a front, one page front and back, no description section, no skill sets, no references. You're already giving them letters of recommendation. There's so many differences between resumes and CVs. If you're not sure which yours fits into, just contact me so I can look at it, okay? Don't have a million colors. You do not need a headshot of you necessarily and so forth. If you do have a headshot, please make sure it is not something silly goose like you laying on a bar underneath like a spigot of beer and somebody pouring it over you. Yes, I've seen it. That sounds like a joke. It's not. Don't do it, please. I'm begging you. Okay. Number 6, omitting important information. Obviously, include your contact information, educational background, practical experiences. I want you to include any research experiences if you have them, academic awards and honors and so forth, conference presentations and publications if you've got them, and professional associations. There's a lot more than that. Again, CV, module of Publication Academy. I'm telling you right now, though, it's so important to know what to put into these things and to keep superfluous stuff out, okay? Number 7 is using an outdated template. Again, like I said, we've got that new template or whatever that was just developed this year. There are so many outdated templates. I'm telling you right now, it should reflect your personality. It should reflect especially the position that you're applying for, okay? But goodness gracious, one thing that is super duper key here is do not go onto something like Google and type in CV template, or even worse, CV template cool. Don't do that, right? We don't want you to be cool. We want you to be a researcher like us. Very few of us are cool, right? It comes with the territory, what can I say? But it's very important that you take a look at that, okay? That you use the right template, because otherwise, even the form fields they've got in there for you to fill out, those are not the form fields, guys, for graduate school or for academic jobs, let alone for postdocs or post-baccalaureate fellowships or scholarships and so forth, all right? It's really important you don't do that. And last but not least is neglecting keywords, okay? I want you to learn to utilize keywords that are relevant to the position that you're applying for to increase the chances of your CV being selective. Okay, and why? Because obviously, if you're going to be working with a particular supervisor or in a particular lab or at a particular program, it's very important that you show a strong goodness of fit with that program and supervisor. Find out, almost like search engine optimization. You have genius brains if you watch this channel, and so because of that, as you're reading through different departmental pages, find out the way that people talk about stuff. Do they talk about clinical psychology? Do they talk about psychological science? Whatever it is. Put that in there somehow, right? If they're working with a specific piece of equipment, mention that piece of equipment if you've used it before. This seems obvious, but people don't tend to do it. So my recommendation is to make sure that you are not neglecting keywords that are somehow associated with the program as supervisor, okay? So those are my top 8 mistakes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'm sure that by the end of this video, you're like, oh my gosh, Dr. Singh, I will get the 7-day free trial of Publication Academy and check it out. That thing is the ish. In addition to that, obviously, if you want me to look at your materials and optimize everything for you, go to Grad School Application Coach down here, and I'm going to help you all out, okay? You can book a session. So God bless you. Thank you so much for watching. Like that video. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.